morning, everybody. Welcome to Good to Know Shreveport Bossier. This is a podcast that showcases the good things happening around our community. My name is Jeff Binefor. This is my trusty cohort and co-host, Paul Reeser. He's the former president of the Reeser Group and a Sonic Management Company. He's a member of the Committee of 100, or he's a board member. And every week we focus on economic development, community growth, and other topics about initiatives having positive impacts around our community. We'll have new episodes every other Wednesday, and you can find Good to Know wherever you listen to podcasts. And Paul, our special guest today, as always, do the honors.
Well, everyone knows out, east side of town, there is this big, beautiful, really sci-fi looking building, the Cyber Innovation Center. I'm like, that is cool. What is it? I don't know. I know there's really smart people in there, and they're doing a lot of cybersecurity, and it's important for the region, but what really happens in there? So today we have one of those super smart guys that's inside there, the vice president from the Cyber Innovation Center. Hey, Kevin Nolten. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here and get to talk about some of the things that's going on at the Cyber Innovation Center.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I was wondering if you're ever going to actually get around to introducing it.
Well,
but you finally made it.
Anticipation, we got to let people know. Yeah. No, but it is a beautiful building. It's super cool, sci-fi looking. But what is going on? And so how did you become vice president? I know if I do get a hold of Kevin Spahn,
Wait.
Craig
Let's start
Spahn.
with this. What is the Cyber Innovation Center?
There's
and
a
what
lot of
happens
questions.
there?
Yeah, that is always the million-dollar question when it comes to what is that spacey-looking building off of I-20 over in Bossier. And what I like to say is that the Cyber Innovation Center ultimately is an workforce and economic development engine for our community and supporting our community and the industries in our community around cybersecurity, and national security.
And you're positioning, or Shreveport is being positioned as really a hub for cyber innovation, right? Cybersecurity.
We love calling the I-20 corridor the cyber corridor.
Yeah.
When we talk about the economic base in our community, we are working very hard to transform an economy that is typically cyclical, whether it's oil and gas or agriculture or other industries that we have in our community. So most times they're cyclical. We want to level set the economic base here. We want to create a knowledge-based workforce that's around cyber. And I can go into more details of how we have succeeded over the last 15 years, but we in northern Louisiana are being touted across the country as the cyber corridor of the South.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is called the National Cyber Research Park, and you're kind of the anchor tenant of that park. So how does the park work together, and what makes you the anchor tenant?
So we have currently 64 acres that, with the completion of our newest building, will complete that 64 acres of land. We have the CIC, which is the anchor. We've got General Dynamics, we've got the BIBC and Louisiana Tech Academic Success Center, and then the building that is being currently built is the Louisiana Tech Research Institute. So that 64 acres is a small piece of a 2,500 acre economic overlay district that is specifically zoned for industry, park, cybersecurity, technology industry, and research park development.
When you say General Dynamics, you got my attention, because we all know those guys are into military defense and all that stuff, right?
Correct. General Dynamics is a huge asset in our community. General Dynamics currently has 1,500 cyber-based jobs, and what they are doing in General Dynamics is providing IT support services for the federal government. It is so important that the work that General Dynamics is doing to our community is we're bringing those high-tech, high-paying jobs into our own backyard, which infuses our economic base here.
And you said you're in partnership with Louisiana Tech. Is Louisiana Tech kind of a feeder program to bring engineers directly to the Cyber Innovation Center?
Definitely. We build out what we call a K-20 program, where we start out at the elementary, middle, and high schools.
Get them young.
Get them young.
I like it.
Research shows that students are making informed decisions as to what they want to be when they grow up at the 4th grade level.
Really?
Think about that.
I'm trying to. It was a long time ago.
I mean,
no way was I thinking like that.
You know, I'm nearly 40 years old, and I still don't know exactly what I want to be when I grow up.
Right,
And so students are making those informed decisions now. And so the CIC, through our education efforts, are focused on ensuring that teachers are equipped with teaching cybersecurity, that they understand what opportunities are at Bossier Parish Community College, Louisiana Tech University, at Grambling State University, such that they go from high school into one of those programs, and then they turn around and they're coming back to our community and work for companies like General Dynamics or the CIC. We're hiring those individuals.
How long has this been in operation out there? I mean, I've been around here about 7-8 years, and I've heard about it ever since I've been here.
So the CIC's been in existence for 15 years now. 15. And that building came out of the ground about 11 years ago.
Okay. I'm just wondering, you know, how long you're talking about leveling off the economy with what you want to create there. How long does that take? It's been going 15 years. I imagine it's going to take a little bit more.
Right. Rome wasn't built overnight.
Right.
However, we've started seeing...
However, it was destroyed overnight.
But it was destroyed overnight. Exactly. So we've started seeing some really early successes. We did an economic impact study back in 2020. And we see now that there are over 2,100 cybersecurity jobs in our community. That now exceeds the oil and gas industry, the agriculture industry, banking and finance industry, the manufacturing and durable goods industry.
All of those.
We exceed those industry bases in our community now.
In number of employees, or just volume of business going through?
The number of employees. The number of employees. We now have, as of 2020, 148.2 million in annual household earnings around the technology sector. And that, to me, is an indicator that these are high-paying jobs, but the 2,100 job number is now knocking at the door at the healthcare industry in our community. And my projections with the growth of General Dynamics, the growth of the programs at the CIC, is that we will surpass in 2022 the healthcare industry with cybersecurity jobs in our community.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Isn't there some overlap though? I mean, you mentioned healthcare industry a couple times, and I've imagined folks that go through your program go to the healthcare industry or go to other related industries.
Yeah. I've always told folks that cybersecurity is everything. Cybersecurity, you know, the word cyber, my definition of cyber is the connectivity of things. I look at the studio that we're in, and this is a cyber industry because of, you know.
Well, I feel important already.
So
I feel smart already.
Things, you know?
I will say the overlap also, you know, I had some Sonics we talked about.
Right.
Every Sonic has a menu with a computer in it that reads a credit card. We spend so much money on cybersecurity to protect that information. So even in the fast food business, Jeff, flipping burgers is cyber flipping burgers.
Right. And the
nothing to say.
Well, the vulnerabilities that exist.
But it is everywhere.
That in those points of sale, in the vulnerabilities as we connect and communicate over cell phones, those vulnerabilities as we communicate over emails, those are the weakest points.
Right.
And if we do not teach students at an early age how to live, work, and play in this digital age that we're in, we're going to falter as a country because of the vulnerabilities.
But we're relying on it, so you live by it, you die by it.
That's exactly right.
Well, you talk about security. I know as a business, we were getting 4 million attacks a year trying to break into our system, Sonic nationwide. So I can't imagine just the Cyber Innovation Center. How many people are trying to break through those walls in a cyber sense?
Those breaks are occurring not only in the CIC, but across all industry sectors.
Right.
You can ask the individual who owns a flower shop, you know, on corner of Line Avenue and 70th Street, you know, what's the most vulnerable thing that you've seen? And it's individuals that are tinkering with your website. It's trying to submit 1,000 orders at one time where it burdens you down. And so most people think cyber attacks are, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take something. But it's almost acts of terrorism, whereas I'm going to go online, if Sonic did online ordering, and I'm going to order 10,000 corn dogs, where now your system is so overloaded that it shuts down.
You're giving them Russians some ideas right now.
Right now.
Stop it. Not my problem anymore, actually.
But
Corn dogs go well with vodka, I understand.
I'm sure. What doesn't, right, Jeff? The way
Well, I don't know. I really have no idea. So you're constantly developing new programs to defeat the cyber terrorists, I guess.
Well, our primary focus is educating the workforce on how to be cyber literate. That is our primary focus from an education standpoint. We want a population that understands the vulnerabilities that exist out there. And then we want to ensure that society or our community is going towards degree programs that will lead to cybersecurity jobs. Our country right now has 700,000 cybersecurity jobs that are unfilled. That we do not have a workforce to fill.
That's a little scary.
It's scary. And when we talk about a national security vulnerability, that's it. I pull that string a little further and I say that the greatest threat to national security is our lack of attention to cybersecurity education.
I believe that.
Our greatest threat to our national security. If we do not focus on this now, then 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're in trouble.
So there's a cadre of these cyber terrorists that are out there constantly attacking Sonic or attacking the flower
TV
shop
station,
online now, just to do it.
Just to do it.
And your phone. I mean, when it says, should I accept this? Should I read all those things before I accept?
Never.
No,
The answer is never.
Never.
So you're telling me you do, right?
I never accept an email. My poor mother-in-law, she'll send me a screenshot every day. Should I say yes to this? No. Amazon will not cancel you without calling. But when it says, read these terms of engagement before you download this app, that's a lot of are you kidding me?
You better read it. Those terms and conditions are important in that it is giving those apps the authority to sell your data, to give your data away. And so I'm not saying don't download apps, don't agree to terms and conditions, but be mindful of what you are sharing on those apps. Be mindful of what information you're giving away. Don't give your social security number, don't give your address, don't give your phone number, your mother's maiden name, those kinds of things.
See, that's not right. That shouldn't even be a thing. I mean, in my opinion, it shouldn't. I mean, it just shouldn't be a thing. None of that information should ever be for sale.
Exactly.
By anybody to anybody.
It's an entrepreneurial world that we live in.
Well, I mean, that's just wrong. I mean, I know we live by computers and all that stuff now, but I mean, that's wrong.
Let's talk a little about the physical space. When you go out to that building, it is remarkable. So you're not only protected through cyber attack, that building itself is a protective marvel. Just for fun, tell me a little bit about why it has those big spikes on the roof, how it's built with the moat around it, so forth.
Yeah, so we always talk about the secure nature of the Cyber Innovation Center, and that is because of a requirement to do certain business in that facility, it has to be built to a certain requirement. And the parallels that I draw are the World Trade Center, the Oklahoma City bombing building, where those buildings were compromised because of acts of terrorism. And so these force protections will allow such events as Oklahoma City and in the New York World Trade Centers not to happen and have the catastrophic effects that took place. It will not happen at the CIC. So that building, the way it's designed in its uniqueness, allows us to do certain things for the federal government that we can't talk about in public, but it's really neat. It's really amazing. As someone who was born and raised in this community, born here, raised here, educated here, now work here and live here, raising a family here.
Local boy done good.
You need to get out more, man.
Local boy that stayed here. It really makes me proud to say that in our community we have assets and we are doing work that you only typically will see in bigger cities, in the Washington, D.C. areas. But that's the design of the CIC. And what fun facts I like to share about the CIC. So those spires, the spikes that are coming out, you can talk to Mike McSwain, who did the architecture, and he had a lot of inspirations, but that the spikes were for a representation of the crown of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Which was really neat to see that perspective. The roof, the way the roof is shaped, is the same design ratio as the wing of a B-52.
Okay.
And so there are really neat things. Now, the Louisiana Tech Research Institute, the other building that's being built out there, what do you guys think that building is designed after?
Look like a football
A
stadium.
bulldog?
A bulldog, a football. It's actually the sand crawler from Star Wars is the design inspiration on there. So next time you're out there,
That's cool.
take a look at it, and you will not get the sand crawler out of your mind.
That's awesome.
But there's uniquenesses there, and it allows us to do work both from a secure standpoint as well as a public-facing standpoint.
Well, why did you decide to stay here? Because we talk about that a lot. A lot of our young folks, they get degrees and then they can't find a local job, or for whatever reason they might move far away. But you've stayed, so that's exciting for me. What is it that caused you to decide to stay right here local?
There was a number of factors, and probably the primary factor was my desire to transform our community. My desire, because of a community that gave so much to me. I had a lot of mentors, a lot of role models, all through high school, through college, and my time at LSUS. I got my master's and undergrad at LSUS. Those mentors and role models really taught me about loving the community that you're in. And I wanted to be an influencer. I wanted to be somebody that could make a difference. And I knew if I went to a big city, I was just going to be a small blip on the radar. But the ability to stay in this community, to be involved in organizations. I'm president of the board at Christian Service. I'm involved in the church. I'm community, and to have a great job like this to me is something that I love doing. And many of my classmates are gone. They were out of here, but I want to build a job, an economic base, a job base here in the community that future college grads.
You definitely have great influence here, so well done.
You talk about getting to the kids young and getting all the stuff in their heads and getting them educated. How do they take to these programs at that age?
It is really great. And there's two areas of the CIC that I'd like to focus on. One is the education side, and one is the Air Force side and our relationship with the Air Force. And I think this is a great segue to talk about how we educate our students. We got our start in Bossier Parish schools. We're now in schools across the state of Louisiana. In fact, we're in schools across the country. We have presence. Our education programs are in all 50 states.
Wow, interesting.
We've impacted 3.7 million students. Over nearly 30,000 educators are accessing curriculum, content, and resources that are developed out of the Cyber Innovation Center, and they're teaching them inside the classroom. And so we transform ways concepts are taught. We remember second grade, and there was a subtraction lesson. And the equation goes like this: Sally has 3 apples at the house. She has 5 friends coming over. How many apples does Sally need to go out and buy? That's 2. Why are we using apples? Yeah, do we want to do some hand?
Because it tastes good.
Why are we using apples is the question that I ask.
Something they know.
It's something that they know. Well, why don't we use something that they don't know? And we increase and expand their knowledge. Sally has a computer at the house that has 3 gigabytes of memory. She has this cool program she wants to run that requires 5. How many gigabytes does Sally need to add? And so what we've done there is we've changed the context in which content is taught. And so, Jeff, if I'm talking to you and I say, the clouds are gray, the sky is blue, the cats meow, dogs bark, and Paul comes over and says, Jeff, what's the third law of physics?
Newton's apple will fall from his gravity.
So if I'm inundating you with information, you have to focus on one thing or the other.
Okay.
That replicates a DDoS attack, a digital denial of service attack. And it's like computer memory. And your brain's like computer memory. And so we have just drawn a parallel to a concept that will get students interested in technology, that will get students interested in cybersecurity, and then we create a moment of, Mom and Dad, what did I learn about at school today? Remember, I asked my 5-year-old when I pick him up from school, what did you learn about? Nothing. I don't learn anything. I'm like, I know you learned something. but we create a moment where that student can go, Mom and Dad, I learned what a gigabyte was. I learned what computer memory is. I learned about a job in technology that I want to be.
I want to move to Louisiana.
I want to move to Shreveport, Bossier, and
Come
I want
on.
to work for the Cyber Innovation Center.
So when you were going through early grades, did you know you wanted to get into this stuff?
I had no idea.
Okay.
I have 2 business degrees. I started my workforce career as a marketing and development for a local school, ended that tenure as assistant principal. So I've always been in education and have enjoyed education, but technology has always been an interest. It's always been a passion of mine, and the ability to now work for a company that's focused on cybersecurity.
That's awesome.
So as the country's kind of in a transition right now, right? I mean, there's a lot of old folks like his mom and me
I did not know where you were going to start.
that are still like
Jeff and I are a bit more mature than you.
We're fighting this stuff, right? We don't want to learn this stuff, or it's difficult, or we think it's difficult. And then there's guys like you that are up and coming, and that's all you do.
Yeah.
So where does that equilibrium occur, do you think? How do we get to the point where everybody's comfortable?
Yeah, Jeff, that's the point. I think we have to work to get folks comfortable in this digital age, and it's a holistic approach. We have to ensure that we are focusing upstream on our future workforce at our K-12 schools, but we also have to solve the crisis that we have today. You know, when our family members call and say, should I click on that email, or should I, give this person my social security number? It's absolutely not. And so we have to, as a society, think about what are we doing to get information about being cyber literate, about being protective. We have to translate the will you share your toothbrush conversation to will you share your password conversation. And we have to translate that to our society, young and old, and everybody in between.
That's interesting ways to look at that stuff.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys in your never-ending battle to get the country educated in all of this?
Well, we're about to make an announcement on November 7th that, to me, transforms what cybersecurity education is going to be inside the classroom, both for Louisiana students and for the country. And think about your high school chemistry class. You had the classroom, and then you went into a lab, and you blew things up. Let me say that. I blew things up.
Yeah. I just set them on fire. But
What is this and what is that?
Yeah.
What do we do for cybersecurity? We don't have that lab environment that allows a student to take the concepts about malware, about viruses, those concepts, and we don't have a safe environment for those students to test. We don't want those students going onto the school network and putting viruses and malware on there. And so we are going to be launching an initiative. It's called a Cyber Range, the cyber.org Cyber Range. And this is going to be a sandbox environment that will be available to every K-12 student in the country.
Wow.
For free.
So they can just go in and play. More or
So
less.
they go on the internet, they log on to a secure server, and then they launch 2 virtual machines, basically 2 computers, computer 1 and computer 2. And they put a piece of malware on computer 1, and they send it over to computer 2, and they see how it affects computer 2.
This is actually very cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then, from a defensive standpoint, how do you remove that piece of malware? How do you protect your information that is on computer 2?
Wow.
And so computer 1 and computer 2 are those sandboxes that students can go in and play. And when they end their class, when they end their session, they close it out. Nothing is harmed. Everything is protected.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
And so this has been an opportunity that's been made available to us by the state of Louisiana and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
Well, that's how you learn, right?
That's how you learn.
By doing.
By doing. And it's, as an, educator, it's I do, we do, you do. I'm going to show you, then we're going to do it together, and then you're going to do it. This is how we begin creating a culture that's comfortable protecting themselves from the bad actors in our country. And it also in a mindset that is high tide raises all boats, it gets students interested in cybersecurity careers. So that 700,000 cybersecurity job number is going to start going down.
I like that.
Are you making any dents in the dearth of folks in the industry?
We are. We're absolutely making a dent in that. And our workforce efforts, because it got started here in northern Louisiana, we are one of the few communities that actually has a supply of students greater than the demand of cybersecurity jobs.
Terrific.
We're working with companies. We're really close on a couple of opportunities to bring several hundred, if not over 1,000 cybersecurity jobs, additional jobs to this area.
Yeah.
And our hook is that we have the supply. Louisiana Tech is graduating 200 to 300 cybersecurity students each and every year.
Right.
Currently they have over 800. Grambling State University has the first cybersecurity undergraduate degree program in the country. I'm sorry, in the state, in our backyard. And then with LSUS and the 15 undergrad associate degrees at BIPSI, we're creating a population of cyber literate individuals.
That's awesome.
Because that's definitely one of our biggest concerns that leaders have here when you try to invite industries to come to this area. They're like, well, where's your workforce?
Where's your workforce?
But if you're coming in cybersecurity, we have them.
We have them,
Wow.
definitely.
That's awesome.
The other piece of the work that we're doing at the Cyber Innovation Center is through a partnership intermediary agreement with the Air Force, with Air Force Global Strike Command. And in layman terms, what that is that we have a relationship with the Air Force where we can take their complex problems and create rapid prototyping on some of those challenges.
Okay.
In essence, we are the front door of Air Force Global Strike Command for their innovation. And we talk about this workforce. When the Air Force has complex problems, they come to us because they know the caliber of students that we're generating, the caliber of companies that are in our area because those companies are consuming our talent. And the Air Force has said, we love being here because of that pool of talent that I was talking about earlier.
Wow, this is fascinating stuff, really. I mean, who had the foresight to begin this?
Craig Spawn. Craig, who is the president of the Cyber Innovation Center, to me had the vision, along with parish and city leadership, to acknowledge the Cyber Innovation Center as a key, important component of the work not only Barksdale Air Force Base is doing, but for our community as an anchor to diversify that economic base. Remember when Cyber Command was at Barksdale Air Force Base, it was a provisional Cyber Command. And through a handful of changes in leadership, Cyber Command moved away. But we got Air Force Global Strike Command, which is a 4-star major command that has a 4-star general. And the impact with Air Force Global Strike Command is far greater than it would have ever been with a provisional Cyber Command assignment. And so our relationship with with Air Force Global Strike Command has evolved into supporting their nuclear mission.
Wow. Okay. All impressive stuff. That's going to about be our time for today.
Man, we got to have him come back.
Yeah, I was thinking just a couple minutes ago, this could be a 2-part show. Really.
Yeah.
This is really good stuff.
Well,
Thanks
Kevin,
for being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Great work. Thanks for sticking around, man, and coming out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for staying at home, right?
Yep, I love being home.
Okay, Kevin Nolten from the Cyber Innovation Center. Good stuff. And thanks for joining us for this podcast of Good to Know Shreveport Bossier, brought to you by the Committee of 100 and KTVS TV. Remember to tell everybody about it, and we'll have new content every other Wednesday. And for more information, you can check out goodtoknowsb.com. So have a great day and continue to make Shreveport Bossier the best it can be. And as usual, all of this is good to know. Have a good one, everybody.